Hi, this is Maddie Pinnell. I'm a Latin teacher at Hull Middle School, and this is my lesson plan. I implemented this with my 8th grade semester-long students, but I give them the beginning of the Latin 1 curriculum so they can decide if they like it for high school. So I do use Latin 1 standards, such as these with grammar and syntax, because that was the big focus of our lesson plan. And we did ITEC standards for seeking feedback, positive and ethical behavior, and creating original works, because that is what they did. It took place over, well, it was supposed to be 5 school days. We went a little bit over, so it was like 5.5. Our periods are 80 minutes, but our administrators prefer that we use only 40 of them so that the other half can be for extra things like NTIs and all that. We did use the 80 minutes on the project days, though, because that is allowed if needed. So we were trying to get them to understand the grammar topic, because it is different from English, and they will need it for obviously reading Latin, because that's the focus of our program. So day 1, we started with a Nearpod, and I taught them the content about first, second, and third person, how the subjects work, how the verb endings work. Then they got to interact with it a little together through matching and a quiz. Did some more practice. We had a quick conversation about verbs. They were able to create their own. And then just a couple things after that. On that same day, we did a quizzes assignment with questions that kind of, reiterated what was in the Nearpod to see what they got out of it. And they had multiple attempts. As you can see, some students use that. I always give them multiple attempts on practice activities because it helps them solidify their knowledge. Day 2, we did the model sentences in the chapter, which are the sentences at the beginning that kind of give students a chance to use the new grammar on a smaller scale. So both on Zoom and in person, students helped me translate the Latin sentences into English. That same day, they did a Padlet where they came up with 3 sentences, one for each person, first, second, and third. And then they had to respond to 2 peers. In their responses, they translated their sentences. They chose one to build onto with the same subject, and then they chose a sentence to change the subject by making a question in response to that statement. On day 3, we did a story to continue solidifying their knowledge and their use of it when reading. And then the project was introduced. So they chose their either partner or 2 other people in a small group of 3. And then they started planning. So for the project, they had 2.5 days. We planned for 2. They had 2.5, where they had to make a song, poem, rap, or short story that explained how it worked. They had to do 6 sentences, 2 for each person, and explain it, and then make a visual chart. Most students chose Adobe Spark. 2 groups did choose Slides and Screencastify. No one used Animoto or another tool that they got approved. They were graded on a rubric that contained standards as well as project type of things, such as collaboration, final product, all of that. And the collaboration piece came from an exit ticket where they rated their partners and their collaboration, what they learned from the project, and how they would change it to help me in the future. And just reflecting real quick, it went really well. The students got a lot out of it, and they even said that another group's rap kind of stuck with them and was going through their head, so it really helped them learn. In the future, I'm going to do an individual Spark project first to get all the troubleshooting out of the way and then implement this group project. And instead of using Zoom breakout rooms, I'll use other things in the future. My kids ended up using FaceTime, which worked, and they got their projects done, so that was a change. We'll be in person next year, so this will be a little different anyway. But I'm really excited to use this in the future, and my kids seem to get a lot out of it. And I think that the technology aspect, especially with their final products, really helps solidify their content knowledge. So I am super, super excited to implement this in the future with a few minor tweaks, and I'm really glad that I did this.